What signs can you use to tell if your wife is cheating on you? Perhaps it was a sudden change in her mood, or did she start leaving home in the evenings to unwind? Did she say she always wanted to have fun with the girls? Or was it something else from those hundreds of little things that are worth paying attention to? As for me, well, let's say it was just a heightened inner sense. When I came home from work, my wife was talking on the phone, and as soon as I crossed the threshold, she hurriedly said, "I have to go. He's already home. Bye," and immediately pressed the end button, looking at me innocently. That's all it took for this terrible, gut-wrenching suspicion to flare up inside me. I thought about asking her who she was talking to, but she could come up with anything, couldn't she? For example, she chatted with a salesman from the shop on the couch to order 2 wonderful massagers for the merciless war on cellulite for the price of 1. Such thoughts could not simply come out of the blue off the top of my head, right? There must have been a worm of doubt in my mind about my wife for some time. I didn't like it myself, and I didn't want it to continue to gnaw at me from the inside every day. I generally don't handle changes in life well. You could say that I'm one of those old-fashioned guys who adheres to the principle, it's better not to interfere with what works well, so as not to break it and make everything worse than it was. It's probably time to introduce yourself and talk about your family. I'm Ron, and Cindy and I have been happily married for 24 years. We have 4 children, 2 adults and 2 teenagers. We are not some rich millionaires, but what we have now is enough for us to live a decent life. At least in the world, we have no debts to anyone. Cindy and I own a comfortable little house, and all the mortgage payments on it are already paid. Our cars may not be the newest, but there is no need to pay monthly fees for them. We probably still have a few small credit card debts left, but that's about it. So, overall, we are an average American family and try to live within our means. Every weekday we work, eat, take care of our home, the younger children go to school, and on weekends we sometimes go out somewhere in public with the whole family. Likewise, Cindy and I try to stay on top of everything our kids are interested in, whether it be sports, art clubs, scout activities, or any other activities in which they participate. Sometimes we even have dinner all together at a common table in our friendly family circle, which these days is, one might say, very rare. Cindy and I's sex life is probably the same as most middle-aged people's. We make love once every 2 weeks or so. Maybe I would like it to happen a lot more often, but you know it takes 2 to tango horizontally. And lately, Cindy, let's say, has not been very keen on such dances. Because of my stupid supernatural intuition, I'm afraid I'll now have to be on the lookout for any strange signs from Cindy. It's like I don't trust her anymore, and for no apparent reason. I just hope that this nagging knot twisting inside my stomach is just normal indigestion and not a harbinger of what I suspect. My main problem is that I'm not a super detective or a Diosu 7. I'm an ordinary middle-aged man who doesn't really understand all these fancy hidden video cameras, phone tapping, computer hacking, and other spy stuff. And besides everything else, I'm not rich enough to be able to hire a private detective to follow my wife. Moreover, I don't yet have the slightest idea where to dig and what exactly to look for. Cindy handles all of our finances, so I have no idea how much she pays, to whom, or when. If I suddenly start looking through all the papers, I'm sure she'll notice it and will definitely want to know why on earth I'm suddenly buried in bills and receipts. What should I tell her then? Darling, I have some kind of suspicious heaviness in my stomach. It turns out that you are growing horns for me. So, or what? Yeah, and she's like this to me. Darling, I bet you'd be better off going big instead of suffering over trifles. A moment of family history. Our marriage seems quite normal, as it probably should be at this period of life and at our age. I met Cindy when we were both in our early 20s. We dated for about a year and then got married. About once every 2 years, she had a child. Once the count reached 4, I got a little tired of babies popping out of Cindy like those moles in a slot machine, so I had a vasectomy shortly after her last birth. So it was one of those evenings when everyone who lives in our house, two teenagers, my wife and I, had dinner together. The kids talked a little about their day at school, and Cindy talked about her part-time job at the library. It must be said that after our two youngest started going to college, Cindy got a little bored being alone at home, and, after a while, got a job at the local library. There she worked part-time, and her working hours were irregular. Maybe the library is one of those places I needed to check out, but how can I do this? I couldn't just take time off from work to sit right in front of the entrance to this damn library and watch who comes and goes there and who Cindy chats with there. Damn, then it would be everyone's first visit to this damn place. She's a librarian. It's her job to sharpen skills with different smart guys every day. Okay, to hell with the library. I have a better idea where I can catch her. She was going to her women's card club tonight, so I thought I could start my private investigation right after she left the house. To do this, I would have to follow her secretly in my good old pickup truck. Anyway, Cindy went off to play cards, and I quietly slipped out of the house a few minutes after her. I knew where she was going because she told me so herself, and even left a phone number where I could contact her if I ever needed to talk to her. I lost her car, or rather, she somehow got separated from me on the way while I was stuck. So I just drove to Marge's house, where I knew this woman's poker tournament was going to take place. When I got there, I saw Cindy's car, among other cars, parked in front of her friend Marge's house. I waited a few minutes, scanning the street to make sure no one else would appear, and then I climbed out of my pickup truck, which I had parked a couple of houses away from my target, crept up to one of the windows and cautiously peered inside. When I, craning my neck, peered into the depths of the room, I saw two card tables, at each of which 4 women were sitting and playing cards. Some of them smoked, others periodically tasted the drinks placed on the table, and everyone, apparently, chatted enthusiastically to each other, slapping cards on the table and sometimes bursting into laughter. Crap. Cards, money, and not a single gun. There were only 8 laughing women in the room, not a single man at all. But I was already anticipating how, like a bolt from the blue, I would fall on this nest of fornication and debauchery. My investigation had just begun and reached a dead end, so I slowly backed out to get back to my pickup. Well, the first outing was a fiasco, but I didn't give up. My stomach, like a faithful compass, clearly indicated that betrayal was somewhere nearby. When I got home, I reached into the laundry basket and looked for my wife's bras and panties. It's a good thing she hasn't had time to wash her laundry yet this week. I feel like I'm on the right track. Okay, even if it's a bummer with my wife's panties, we don't give up, we move on. I looked through her wardrobe, looking for revealing dresses and generally clothes that would look out of place. Then I carefully went through all the drawers from her dresser. Not a shred of suspicion, just 0. I found a folder with invoices lying in the document bureau in the office. I flipped through all these damn accounts until the damn numbers were jumping around in front of my eyes like balls in a lottery drum. Once again, I didn't find anything unusual except for the donut hole. The mother is honest, and Cindy turns out to be good at hiding evidence. For a cheating wife, she is absolutely gorgeous. I sat down at the computer and entered her password into the window that popped up. She told me the keyword a long time ago. Besides, to be sure, we printed out and hung this password of hers next to the computer on the wall. Do you like this story? Click the like button and subscribe to the channel to make the main character's revenge sweet. I went through all of Cindy's emails, which, when you think about it, was kind of stupid since she and I shared an account, and we'd both been using the same email address for years. If there was any compromising evidence there, I would have noticed it long ago. It's not surprising that after poking around in the mail, I couldn't find a damn thing. Just think, another dead end. Damn, damn, damn. I'm digging the ground with my nose already at 3 o'clock, trying to dig up at least something against Cindy, but as a result, I have nothing but zilch. When I finally gave up and began to clean up the clothes scattered here and there, the front door opened and Cindy entered. "Hello, and I was just kneeling in front of the laundry basket, holding her dirty panties in both hands. I froze in place. She froze, looking at me. I don't know whose eyes were bigger. Butcher's definitely looked like a cat's saucers. "Okay, Ron, I think it's time for us to talk," she said slowly, not taking her eyes off me and carefully approaching sideways along the wall. "You followed me to Marge, and then I noticed your face peeking out from behind the frame of the open window. I was still sitting there with a stupid smile on my face, a pair of panties in my hands, and my eyes wandering back and forth. There was no exit. For some reason, the skin on my face and neck felt a little hot. My throat was dry, and somehow I suddenly lost the gift of English speech. Now I come home and see you sitting and sniffing my dirty laundry. If I didn't know you better, I would think that you didn't trust me. Do you really think I'm cheating on you, Ron? I don't know, Cindy. I have this such a bad inner feeling, and I've had it, well, all day since the morning," he began, stuttering. I mumble something in my own defense. "Come with me, honey, and let's talk." With these words, the wife turned around and decisively moved towards the living room. I threw the laundry into the hamper, stood up, and followed her, landing on the couch. Cindy sat down next to me, folded her hands in her lap, and looked at me carefully. "Did you read erotic stories from this site again? Right during your lunch break at work?" she asked rather shrewdly. I nodded embarrassedly. Well, yes." "Were the stories you read there stories about cheating wives?" Cindy asked. "I guessed right." I sighed again, but then perked up. "Have you thought about me when I read all these stories about cheaters?" "Of course I thought," I muttered, looking away to the side. "Otherwise I wouldn't have followed you to Marge's in the evening. And besides, when I came home from work, you, by the way, talked to someone on the phone. Moreover, as soon as I entered, you hastily said, 'I have to go,' and hung up. Maybe you can explain?" Having slightly perked up, I went on a counterattack. Cindy looked at me with raised eyebrows and smiled widely, shaking her head. "God, I don't even know whether to be angry with you or just hug you," she grinned. I frowned and stared back at her, continuing to insist. "And yet, who were you talking to when I came in? Just please, don't lie." "I didn't mean to," she shrugged. "Actually, I talked to your mother. She calls me almost every day, as you probably know." "Wait, so you started your grandiose investigation because of this call?" Cindy, tilting her head to the side, watched with a sly smile at the pangs of conscience consuming me. She then moved closer and placed her hands on top of mine, squeezing them lightly. "Ron, dear, tell me, just honestly, have I ever done anything to make you suspicious of me and not trust me?" "No," I admitted. "It was just my gut feeling." "Ely," Cindy sang, continuing to smile. "You're just a miracle. If I didn't love you so much, I would probably go crazy from these numbers that you break off." She cupped my cheeks with her hands and said the next words, looking straight into my eyes. "You are the man I love, the one and only, no matter how weird you can be sometimes. I love you with all my heart, even if I don't say it that often. We may not be making enough love, but we can fix it, and the best time to do it is right now." With that, she took my hand and led me into the bedroom, locked the door, dimmed the lights, and then began to undress me. All ready for action, I fell on the bed and watched how captivatingly she undressed herself. "Well, how? Now, do you feel better?" she asked with sly imps jumping in her eyes. "Cindy," I answered, turning my head to the side and again stroking her alluring curves with my gaze. "You are the best and I love you, but what about these alarming signals from my insides?" She smiled, then giggled, and finally just started bursting into uncontrollable laughter. Holding her stomach with one hand and wiping away the tears with the other, Cindy took a blister of pills from the medicine cabinet and threw it on my bed. "Here, take 2 of these, dear. You just have indigestion," she said. As soon as I threw myself into the wheels and froze, Listening to hurrah reaction of my stomach, my wife looked at me sternly and added, "And darling, stop it. Please, sniffing my panties is disgusting." I agree, whatever. When Cindy is right, she is right. Please like and subscribe to the channel and you will never be cheated on.